Time. Yeah. Well, I think I'll call this meeting to order. Hey, McKenna. McKenna's going to lead us in flag salute. So McKenna, please. Nice and loud, McKenna.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Thank you. Agenda review. I don't believe there's any changes, so superintendent report.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We're excited to have you here tonight. And Pioneer, you're going to be right up after me, and we're all excited to hear from you. And so I want to welcome everybody. One of the things that I try to do at the start of each meeting is just review some of the things that have taken place across the district in the last few weeks since we met before. First of all, I want to thank Mrs. Venezia and Runnan School for inviting us out. Thank Dr. Thornhill for coming out to the walk to school day. That was a lot of fun with all the kids. It was good exercise in the morning. And then I want to thank Heritage and the entire special education department for organizing the Special Olympics soccer day that was out there. It was super fun to go out and see so many of our young athletes out there engaging and having fun. So thank you to them and everybody involved with making that happen. I also want to acknowledge our local Rotary Club who partnered together with Teresa Alfonsi. And I want to thank Teresa for her work in being the inaugural school that did this. I know sometimes it takes a little more when you're the first to do it, but they sponsored a peace poll to go out there and had a special ceremony. And so when you get a chance, you can go out and see that. And there were 8 languages that say, "May peace prevail on earth." And so a nice thing out there. We also have had different organizations that have come in and played a nice part in our educational opportunities for our students. So we had East Bay Regional Parks come out. This is at Loma Vista to talk about their Native American programs. And so also one of the things that they were celebrating during Native American Heritage Month. So thank you to East Bay Regional Parks for being a part of this. Parents, we're trying to help you out with this. So this is Mrs. Rayburn's 8th graders who are recognizing that even dolls don't go to sleep at night like they should. They do keep you up. For those of us that grew up and had to take care of eggs for maybe a week as to simulate childcare, this is a whole different thing. So lots of fun to watch that. I don't usually put a picture of me up, but it's all we had from this thing. And so I just wanted to thank all of our teams and especially John Navarro and RGM Construction for helping to spearhead this. So we were selected as the best K-12 construction project in Northern California for Ike Montanez School. And so that was a really nice thing. And we got a nice little plaque that we'll put up out there at your school, Abby, once we get it out there. Harvest Grove, doing a lot of things to build community within their group of students. And so here was the Thanksgiving Community Circles potluck party, lots of great food out there. This is something I've attended before. Mrs. Terry and Mr. Boughton lead a Lewis and Clark expedition simulation out at Bristow School on the Grass. It's a fun thing for them and for students to learn history in a non-traditional way and to get a little experiential learning. So fun thing for that. Mrs. Carmen's put together a strategic games enrichment club after school. And so it's a great way for students to come in and connect with other students and unwind. And we're finding that fewer students actually play board games than traditionally. And so it's a nice way to reconnect kids with things that we did in the olden days. Tradition that's been long for Brentwood Elementary is Kids Against Hunger program, started by Shannon Morton, one of their teachers out there many years ago. And it's a great opportunity for students to both raise money and pack meals for kids. Typically it's in countries that are very impoverished and they get shipped over there. So they have a part in packing and they have a part in raising the funds to pay for the food and the shipping to go over there. Just lots of, one of my favorite things before holidays is to see what the TK and K classrooms are doing. So this is Mrs. Riken's TK class at Pioneer Elementary, who's getting ready for Thanksgiving with some turkey projects out there and lots of fun going on. Lots of paint going on hands, which is always a fun thing. This is, I want to call out Rotary again, and specifically Joanne Clement, and who is organizing a first grade volunteer reader program with some of our seniors in our community in Somerset and Trilogy. So this is a program that Julie Croy has worked with Rotary to start up at Loma Vista over last year. And we have a volunteer that comes into each class and reads with first graders. And this year we're trying to spread it. So Teresa D'Alfonsi volunteered again, so we're bringing it to Marsh Creek. But we had so many volunteers that we may be able to spread it to another school. So we're really excited about that and getting people involved in our community. We have a lot of retired teachers that live within those Somerset and Trilogy homes, and so it's a great opportunity to bring them in. And you don't have to be a retired, if you're watching from home, you don't have to be a retired teacher to participate. Garen first grade square dancers, always fun to watch, and you can see all the parents lined up there in the back by the tables enjoying every minute of that. And so lots of focus too right now on wellness and supporting students' emotional health. And so you can see here in the Edna Hill School wellness room with Katie Daniels, their counselor out there, and appreciate all the great work that she's doing. One of my favorite traditions every year is to tape the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and watch that after the turkey trot. And so I'm also eating during that time because I'm usually hungry from the turkey trot. But the second graders out at Cray did their own Thanksgiving Day Parade. I thought it was cute and fun to do as you see it going by. And then the Belonging Bunch is a group of students, teachers, parents, administrators that have come together to create more opportunities for families to come together at Loma Vista. And so they put together a thankful game night out on November 21st and had lots of attendance there. I love this. This is Ashley Hannick's class out at Adams for All Abilities Week. They did a glasses drive, and so you can see they got 140 pairs of glasses donated. And congratulations to Mr. Maharas, who had 31 pairs donated within his class. So great job. And then the Turkey Trot was a fantastic event, lots of fun, record participation this year. I think Board Member Gursky, I think you've been out there just about every year cooking pancakes starting at 6 in the morning. So thank you for doing that. See you in your familiar place with Mr. Ziegler behind the griddle. But I really want to acknowledge, you can see in there, Phil Rodriguez, Jane Rodriguez, Darlene Gonzalez, big parts of the committee. So this year they had to stop registration about a week before because they hit their maximum, so almost 2,500 participants, and it raised $90,000 for athletic programs at both our school district and also Liberty. So thanks to everybody who participated. And then we had somebody in our board that was the Grand Marshal of the 43rd Annual Brentwood Holiday Parade. See it out there. It might be hard to see. He's got a fancy Santa hat on, but Mr. Geddes, congratulations for that honor for you. That was very nice, and I heard you had a great night out there. One of the long traditions at Marsh Creek was a Posada Winterfest, and so the Parents Club Board helps put that fun family event together to bring people together. And then also, this past weekend for the Brentwood Community Chorus, Mr. Morello and a few students were invited to be part of the performance along with them. So I want to thank them for recognizing the excellent music programs that we have and inviting them to participate along with the community chorus. And then I just recently on my desk, I received $600 in cash. Now that's not normally something you would announce at a board meeting, but it was because the group of students at Adams collected this Get Out for a Gift event. One of the things that the Brentwood Regional Community Chest does is it gives gifts for children that are 0 to 18, and some of the hardest gifts to find are for some of the older children. And so sometimes when middle schools have asked what can we do, we say that, and they had a hard time shopping for older children too, and so they decided to start collecting money. And so $600 is going to the Brentwood Regional Community Chest. So I thank them for their generosity and leadership. And that is my report this evening, Board.
Thank you, Dr. Eaton. I think we'll move directly to Pioneer and let you introduce and provide our
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Elena Becerra, and I am the principal at Pioneer. Our students and staff are very excited to bring this presentation to you. Where do I point? Okay. Do I go back? We are presenting on goal number 3, which is to promote, to promote culture that supports the learning. And one of the things that we are going to highlight this evening, we have many different things across the district, that programs that are across the district and most of the elementary schools. However, this important club that we are highlighting this evening is not very common, and it's an art that you will see that it seems like it was fading in some ways. However, the club is, I keep going backwards, I'm sorry, is it's crocheting club. Okay, so we have about 75 students that are participating in this club, but we have about maybe 25 to 30 students that are there every single day. So crocheting club at Pioneer is worth highlighting this evening because it provides the students a place that is calming, creative, a creative space that builds confidence, helps with the fine motor skills, and also they form connections with their peers. At the same time, they are learning a skill that is not fading away anymore, at least not at Pioneer. At Pioneer, it's growing and growing every single day, which many of the students have made this hobby into a side business, which is pretty cool. I would like to have Ms. Robles come in and talk to you guys about how it started and when it started and where we are at this point.
Hi, guys. I'm Stacy Robles. I'm the librarian over at Pioneer for the past 10 years or so, and at Pioneer for about 20 years as a parent also. But about 3 years ago in the 23-24 school year, I started, I have an accelerated reader program, and I was always trying to come up with new ways to get kids engaged in reading. And my mom, who I'd like to introduce, Miss Sherry Donley, right here, she crochets. And so she started making stuffies, different crocheted animals she learned during COVID. And those became prizes. So they have to meet certain AR goals, and the kids were wanting those stuffies like crazy. So it was making them read and get to their goals. And pretty soon the kids were starting to ask, how do you make them? How do you do this? And so we started with a few, and I asked my mom to come on in, and she brought little baggies with some hooks and some yarn and started off with just a few kids. We have one of our original members here today, Kayla, who's now a 7th grader over at Bristow. And it just snowballed from there. And so the kids come in the mornings and at their snack recess. Right now it's just 4th and 5th graders, but then their younger siblings and the other kids, they see that. So they're excited to become big 4th and 5th graders eventually as well. And it's just been a fantastic place for them to come. And a lot of the kids, they don't know each other. They come in, they ask to join, and believe it or not, I don't know how to crochet, even though I am the person, the advisor, the overseer. But it's so wonderful because once they learn, they'll teach each other. And so then they're creating friendships and making friends that they normally may not have met all of these people. And yeah, there's about 75 kids joined in the beginning. And so it has... every year it's gotten bigger and bigger. So I would love to introduce you to just a few. We couldn't bring all 75 today. But I would like to introduce you to McKenna Cox, Mackenzie, Cunny, Mateo, Josie, Avery. And then we have our seasoned Bristow, Kayla Morehouse here. She came back to show that you can make money off of this once you get really good. Of course, you can't make stuffies right away, as most of them know, but she's now making clothes. She is wearing one of her creations, and she sells her things at the Makers Market in downtown Brentwood, and I think she's going to Discovery Bay this Friday. So yeah, so we would love to hear from you guys. I think Avery, are you up first? All right.
I like coming to crochet club because it helps me relax after school and I get to make things I didn't think I could make. I used to think crocheting was hard, but now I love it. It makes me feel calm and I get excited to show my family what I make. I deal with a lot of anxiety, and when I come to Crochet Club, I just feel very calm and great to be at my school and that I feel belong.
At first, when I was in third grade, I was nervous to go into the bigger grades. But then once I found crocheting and I joined Crochet Club, I thought I couldn't do crocheting. But then I started and I practicing. I didn't just learn how to crochet, I made a lot of new friends.
I like crocheting because it helps me entertain when I'm in a road trip or when I pick up my brother and sister.
I love Crochet Club because it's just really calming and it helped me make friends and connect with people with similar interests.
When I first started, I started off knitting. When I came to the Crochet Club and learned how to crochet, this was my first magic circle, and sure doesn't look like much, but it turned into this, then clothes, and yes, now I'm going to start selling.
Crochet Club helped me because if I just feel overwhelmed or sad, I think Crochet Club is perfect for me because you could either just sit down or sit in quiet space, or you can just crochet.
All right. So we had a few of our staff members give some feedback on it as well. Just letting us know that it's been a wonderful thing to watch the kids, a hands-on activity, definitely boosts their confidence. They love seeing their students join the Crochet Club. I don't know how the teachers feel about them still crocheting in class when they're supposed to be doing work when they go back, but I don't think it's been too much of a problem. But the most important thing that we hear from everybody is just the feeling of inclusion and learning a new skill. And everybody seems to have really great things to say about it. So.
Being brand new to Pioneer, I have to say it is one of the largest elementary schools that I've ever been on campus and seen. I call it more of a crochet community because it has created a community not only for teachers, for students, past students, but parents as well. It's just a wonderful opportunity for kids, as we know, as we can see with 75 students, there's a need. And there's a need for these kids to feel like they have a place. And sometimes it gets overwhelming when you're on the playground, and it gets overwhelming when you have so many students to interact with. It provides a safe place for these students. So thank you so much for providing. I've never seen anything quite like it, and it's pretty remarkable. So something that I think is important, and just with the parents, we've heard from the students, we've heard from the staff, but something that I've heard from the parents is the Crochet Club is a wonderful, safe place for kids to connect over a timeless hobby. I love that they have created a little community amongst themselves, centered around their projects. It is super special. Watching my daughter Sophia help Stacy start the Crochet Club 3 years ago and seeing how much it has continued to grow has been a joy. The Crochet Club has been so impactful to my daughter Kayla. She joined the club in 4th grade and instantly fell in love, not only with the club, but also the relationships. So again, not just a club, but a community.
So if you ever come to campus and they are crocheting, you will see students in the buddy benches crocheting in the sun. It is the most, again, she has never seen that before. I had never seen that before. And guess what? I did learn from the kids. So I sort of kind of know how to crochet based on what I have seen the kids do. So the next thing we have is the impact it does. This club has a lot of impact in our students. So are you guys ready? Can you guys come up? They're going to be reading the impact.
It creates a special place where students feel comfortable and safe. Builds fine motor skills and focus.
Crocheting straightens hand coordination and concentration and patience skills that support academic success.
Encourages creativity and self-expression. Students get to create unique projects, boosting confidence and allowing them to express themselves through art.
It promotes community and connections. The club brings students together across grade levels, fostering friendships and a sense of belonging on campus. Teaches persistence and problem solving.
Students learn to follow patterns, fix mistakes, and complete projects. Important life skills that build resilience and independence.
Okay, thank you so much for being here, guys. The other thing I have is I do want to acknowledge Sherry Donnelly for doing this. So I have a little thank you, a little certificate of appreciation for all the hours that you put in and all the effort and everything that you do for our school community.
And then, of course, we have to acknowledge all the time and energy that goes into creating a club like this. Like we said, 75 kids all week long, providing an opportunity for these students to have a safe place to call an extension of their school home. So thank you, Mrs. Robles.
Thank you.
And we brought a little gift for you guys. So, girls and boys, would you like to pass them out? Just so that you have something from the Crochet Club too. So, this is what, you can't make these right away when you start learning, but you eventually, as Kayla has shown, you can make these things and sell them and make money.
We'd like to recognize the students. We didn't expect the students.
I was just saying, I'm going to put this on the hunt shelf in my store.
Let's take that while you're over there, Mr. Gibbs. Let's take a picture.
Oh.
That's all in front of the stuff right here. Ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now get hold on for mom.
Thank you, parents, for
Yeah.
Thank you.
and thank you for the gift.
Yes. We'll take a minute and let. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Do we have any board comment at this time?
I would just like to say that we all just got back from a conference, and the conference is once a year, and it kind of refreshes us for the new laws and budgetary things and other state laws that went into effect. We kind of bounce around various classes and stuff like that. That's something that we all enjoy. It's a good time to get updated on things, and it's also a really great time for us to kind of bond. Well, at least most of us bond. So that wasn't. That's good.
Thank you, Scott. You summarized. Would anyone like to add anything else?
Not at this time, thank you.
And at this time, we'll take, do we have any public comment? Anyone who wants to address the board? If not, then we will pass that item and move to item 8. The consent items, we have consent items. I need a motion.
Does anybody have anything they'd like to pull or discuss? If not, I move that we approve consent items 8.0 through 8.6.
Mr. Gursky, could I just say one thing is I just want to acknowledge on there that one of our curriculum and instruction coordinators who's presented to the board recently, Lindsay Waite, is on there as a resignation. She'll be moving out of town, and I just wanted to acknowledge her for the great work that she's done in our district. And thank you, Lindsay, and wish you well as you go forward.
Thank you.
Yeah. You will be missed.
Is that Washington State you go to? No?
The Netherlands.
Yeah. Need any company? Do we have a second? Been moved and seconded. We approve the consent items. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0. Hearings and appeals, we have none. Presentation reports, none. So we have 2 expulsions. The board is to consider the recommending of the administrative panel on student 10-2025-04 from the Brentwood School District.
I move that we approve the expulsion of student number 10-2025-04.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we support the administration panel of expulsion of student 10-2025-04. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. We also have a second expulsion, item 10.2 of student 11-2025-07. It's a stipulated expulsion. Those in favor are opposed. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommended expulsion of student 11-2025-07.
Second.
Been moved and second for item 10.2, the expulsion of this student. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0. We move to the approval of the first interim report. Denise? Diane? Denise, I kind of like that name.
That's my cousin's name.
If your cousin would like to make.
I
the
like
report,
her. She's a
okay,
nice cousin.
That's good.
Good evening. Yeah, this is the first interim budget report. And it's required by Ed Code that we report the financials starting July 1st of the new fiscal year, and we're going through October 31st of this year, being presented for the board in December. So when we start talking about the budget, I just wanted to review just how the district is funded and how Brentwood compares to our surrounding districts. So if you take a look at this slide, if you look at our district and then the Byron, Liberty, Oakley, Antioch, and Pittsburgh, the ones that are all in our region, Brentwood is funded at the lowest level. We're number 7 of 7 in per student funding. And what's also, I think, pretty astounding and not in a good way is that we are below the statewide average. So we are funded per student at $14,856, and the statewide average per student is $22,194. So that's $7,388 difference. So when we're listening to the reports about how much California funds education and how much is given out per student, that doesn't pertain to every district, and we are significantly lower. And it is the way the funding model works, which is, is the way it is set by the governor and the Board of Education. I also wanted to remind us about what we call average daily attendance. So as we know, the district has an enrollment, which is how many students we serve, and it's 10,163. But we are funded, and all school districts are funded on the average daily attendance, the ADA. So this year we're projecting a 95% ADA. So although we budget and spend enough to have teachers and all our supplies and all our classrooms to serve the full 10,163 students, we are funded at a 95% off of that amount. And what that does is, I wanted to share, is that pre-COVID, so looking back, say 27-18 in the 2 years, we were over 97%, 96%, almost, 96.5. And now we've gone up since COVID. It was 20, we were 93%, but each percent that we are below, say where we were previously, is $1 million. So if we're at 95% instead of 97%, that is 2% more revenue that we could possibly get to support our schools and our programs. So when we look at first interim, it's important to remember that we're looking at this year's fiscal budget. So just like the school calendar year, 25 and 26. And we're also looking at the 2 out years, because it's required that the board can certify that we will meet our fiscal requirements for this year and the 2 out years, which are when you look at the multi-year projections. And first interim is giving you actual information, because we've had full monthly salaries and benefits since we started in August, and everything's been updated, where when you approve the adopted budget in June, it's an estimate because not everybody's in the position, so you don't know exactly which health and welfare benefits they're taking, what step they're going to come into or move on to. The other big sort of components of what makes up the first interim budget are our special education contribution. It's increased by 1.3 million since adopted budget. And what that means is that the district's general fund, so our LCFF revenue, we have to add money to the special education programs to cover the cost. I have another slide later, but right now it went up 1.3 million, although we fund it by 30 million. First interim does not include any negotiated salary increases or 25-26. And so when we talk about enrollment, CBEDS, we use the acronym CBEDS. And what that really is, it's the first Wednesday of every October where the state certifies your enrollment. So that's how your funding happens. Our enrollment goes up. Actually, it generally goes up, but this 10,163 is what we're funded on. And that amount is 64 lower than what we estimated in June. And that actually reduces our revenue by $774,000. So that's something that's shown in the first interim budget. So when we talk about the first interim, this is 25-26, and then we have the 2 following years. So we're taking a look at this year and, our combined revenues. This shows that it's 151 million. Expenditures are 155.5 million. So we are spending more than we're taking in so we're deficit spending by $3.8 million. The things to know about this is when you look at the very bottom, this is called the ending fund balance reserve. And what that is, again, to certify, you have to have 3% all 3 years. So right now in our unrestricted ending fund balance, we have $7 million. We also have what's called the restricted ending fund balance, which is 6.5, but that is appropriated through federal and state funding where you can only spend it on specific allowable costs and, requirements. So we have a 4.52 ending fund balance. We have $7 million. And the thing about one of the biggest concerns is that then if you look at 26-27, we're also deficit spending and our reserve goes down to 3.77 and then it goes down to 3%. And if you take a look at that first red arrow where it says fiscal solvency reductions, in order to meet the 3% on the third year out, the district will be planning reductions for the 26-27 school year of $500,000 to cover the increased expenditures. And then we have that budgeted in the 27-28 school year. But when we start budget development in January, it already starts up because July 1st is a new fiscal year. That is something that will be planned and developed into the budget. So that's why when you talk about the reserve, it's also got to cover the 2 following years. And as your expenditures go up more than your revenues, you either have to get more revenue or you're going to have to cut costs to manage that. And again, I mean, the average elementary school district, school services says their reserve is like 17%. So it's not, we're not in a good position. Let's talk a little bit more about our reserve. So as you can see, our reserve is the lowest in district history. If you go back 10 years, the district had a 12% reserve, and then it kind of went down, and then in 2020, it went back up to 10.29%. But that jump had to do with the one-time money from COVID because quite a bit of money came to all the school districts. Since that time, we were around 6% for 3 years. We dropped last year to 4.8, and now we're at 4.2. So the district has never been in this territory before. Okay. Special education. So as you know, special education is funded by the federal and state government. But the federal government by law created the law where they would cover 40% or like 40 cents to the dollar of every expenditure nationwide. Well, right now they're covering about 8% or 8 cents on every dollar that we spend, and every district nationwide. And then the state does give us some money. So it's every school district's job. We call it a contribution, but it's, really, we provide that money by taking it out of our general fund. And as you can see, since 2020, we have increased over 51%. Our contribution in 2020 was 15.7 million, and this year it's going to be 30.5 million. And again, we're making up the difference out of revenue that's coming to support our students in our programs. And these are part of that, but the federal government is not anywhere close to meeting sort of their fair share or proportionate share of what our costs are. And this is just a reminder, these are the other funds we have, like the bond fund, Fund 21. They are very separate. They cannot be shared between funds, and you are also certifying that they all have an ending fund balance that is positive. So looking forward to second interim. So second interim means that this financials through January 31st. So now you're 7 months into the fiscal year. So when we look at second interim, which will be reported to the board in March, again, we don't have any negotiated salary increases for 25-26. Our special education program costs, they continue to rise. We're estimating about 6.5% annually, or it's about $2 million. We did get one-time funds this year, which we talked about at the 45-day revise, but they are for non-reoccurring purposes, and they don't assist in managing our structural deficit. And what they did this year was they covered rising increased costs. That's what we've taken the money for, so that we can be at a 4.52% reserve. Talk about the statutory COLA. It's a federal number, but the governor in his budget always uses that as sort of a base of what they hope to increase the LCFF student funding. The current multi-year projection that's in this budget shows that next year we would get a 3.02% COLA, but right now there's already talk from the Legislative Analyst's Office and other economists that the COLA will go down about 0.5% to 2.51. So we will actually get less funding in the 26-27 fiscal year for our students. And of course, we have federal, education budget uncertainty. So taking a look at, where are we between now and, January 31st, or when we come to March, and as we prepare the next year's budget. So again, just a reminder that for the multi-year projections with this first interim, we would planned reductions of 500,000 for next year, and then the following year, 27-28. Also in that multi-year slide, it showed that, we're going to put Fund 17 balance back into next year. We were able, not to confuse you, but at adopted budget it was in, and then we were able to take it out at the 45-day revise. And it's as a placeholder to ensure we meet the 3% 3 years out. But the projections for next year would be they would go back in. Obviously, special education continues to rise significantly. We have a reduction in funding this year, which is, we can't recoup those costs in another way. We always want to remember that we want our ADA to go up. I mean, our district has a goal for that. And I do have to say that it's, everybody in the district, from the principals to the students to cabinet who does everybody's working really hard to increase ADA, but it is where it is, and that's how we're funded. There's this big instability of federal funds. It's not a huge percent of our budget, but it's over $3 million, and we mostly use it for people, for Title I intervention programs. So the district budget and reserve is in critical condition as we prepare for second interim, and also equally important is we develop the 26-27 budget. And that's the end of the presentation, unless you have questions.
Statements, go ahead, excuse me.
Thank you. Thank you for being so straightforward with it too. Oh, does this work? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the report and for being so straightforward, and I also appreciate the letter that you wrote, Dana, excuse me, Dr. Eden, this last Sunday. To declare this a major concern or a critical condition, I think is like extremely important, because there's so many good things that go on in the school district, and we spend a lot of time trying to affirm those great things that happen here, the great work that occurs and the great things that happens with kids. But we have to face this. This is going to be a really difficult thing. And today, our board we have to responsibility of basically passing this resolution that says we're going to be solvent for 3 years and above 3% reserve. And so we're going to do that. But we have to do that with the commitment that's going to happen. And that's going to be a major thing on this board, is to assure that what we say tonight actually does happen. And it's going to happen again in March. In March, we'll have more data. It's going to be more appropriate for how we're going to look at next year's budget. And then we have to make those things happen. So there's going to be these recommended things that we can do. And so I just, there's one last little piece on it though, and that is the pieces that we have so little control over. And that this seems like with the special ed funding and with our funding model, and both of those things, those are like really tough, and it's going to require, I think it's going to have to require board politics. We have to involve ourselves in this state government funding system, decisions. How much power does a little district have like us? Probably not a lot, but we have to join with others to work on this. Because this funding model that we have does not benefit our school district. And the other thing is special ed. That's a crime that they're devoted to this 40%. I mean, legally to this 40% figure, and they give us 8. And when you got a good school district like we have with a really good special education department, people like coming to Brentwood, and we're in some ways paying for the success that we've had. So some of these things that we're just going to have to, it's going to be on. I'd like to say on our board that we need to be involved in the larger political arena as well.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Steve.
Just kind of piggybacking on the comments about the SPED spending, 6.5% for the next 2 years seems very conservative. I mean, it could easily be much higher than that. And looking at our history here, it looks like it's kind of hard to read exact numbers on a chart like that, but 10% seems more like our average other than the COVID year. So I'm just I'm very worried that we might be underselling that. So I just throwing that out there.
I actually have 2 questions. They're not really questions. Can you explain to what happens if we go under 3%? What occurs then?
Well, one would hope that your planning with your budget is that you won't.
I understand that.
But,
I'm just saying.
but say if the board tries to approve a budget under 3%, the county who certifies it before it goes to the state won't certify it, and they will require further changes.
Is that the receivership?
Yeah, so there's a progressive set of interventions that happen, right? So the first one would be the county wouldn't approve it, and then depending on if if you can't meet your obligations, if you can't meet your 3% in the next year or two, they would send in somebody to basically help you oversee. So at that point, it's assistance. But at some point, if you can't meet your obligations in the current year, if you can't meet your 3% in the current year, you eventually have a fiscal agent that's appointed to you, and that takes over at that point. If you go into receivership, which is rare in the state, but it's happened, I think, 7 times, receivership requires the superintendent to be fired. It requires the board to become an advisory panel, and there's basically a fiscal agent that's appointed by the state that comes in and makes the decisions about what happens.
Thank you. And my second question is, I know at a certain date, we have, whether our attendance continues to grow through this fiscal year, but a certain date, we have to say, well, this is what it is at this date. Versus like now, it probably has gone up probably closer to the 67 or over the 67, correct? I mean, what are we closer to the 67?
So you're asking on enrollment?
Yeah.
And actually, we're around 10,193. I think we've gone up 30. Yeah, I think like enrollment this week. So we've gone up 30 students. But our state certified enrollment is 10,163. Yes, and a lot of times over the history of the last like 3 to 5 years, the district has continued to grow. By a couple years ago, I think by almost 200 over the course of 7-8 months. Now ADA is the percentage. So yeah, we only get 95% of 10,163, even though we have 10,193 students.
Right.
And we'll likely be way over 10,200 by the end of the year. But basically it's as of October, that's when we have to certify what our count is. And any students that come in past October, we don't get any money for.
Are the 2 out-year projections based on the 10,163 number, or are they based on an estimate?
That's a good question. So they're based on a limited growth. So I want to say that next year we're projecting, and I can look it up. I don't have the number with me. It's like around 89. So basically we projected to grow. We did grow 1.13% from certified to certified date. And then we're projecting to grow about another 0.5% and then 0.5%. And the reason is because you can't overproject. You don't want to overproject revenue that you don't know. So what we do though is like at next adopted budget or even at second interim, what we're projecting for next year can change. That's just an estimate. But for today, it's around 89 growth for next year. And it's adjusted at every budget, yes, until we have an actual. But we look at it based on enrollment trends, a demographic study, and sort of what's happening locally. There's some calculations, but it is an estimate.
So if you look over by Costco, it's everything around there now is just booming as far as houses. Does the city give us somewhat of a projection? Or is that something that we have to do as far as, how do you know whether it's a mom and dad with no kid? Well, I guess they wouldn't be a mom and dad, but a husband, wife with no kids, or is it?
So there's the demographic study is done annually. It's a large study, and they come in and they take a look at where we are today, and then they take a look at all the new housing that's being built, and they develop, it's called a student generation rate. I can't believe I know this, and our generation rate used to be like 0.41 student per household, and now it's like 0.39. So they use all these calculations, but again, it's never accurate. I mean, but they are saying this is who they talk to the city and they get the data from the city and they make a projection.
One of the things I understand too is with the current home prices in Brentwood being higher than the Central Valley, we're getting more growth with older students, such as high school age, than we are elementary, which are perhaps going to Tracy and Central Valley. So though we have obvious growth of houses, we don't have the same growth of students that we used to get per household.
Right, right. People are often on their second home by the time they can come in and afford one in Brentwood. It's always been challenging. We do use the demographic study. It's always been challenging. It's one thing to know when the houses are coming in, and that information is super clear and very transparent because of how they pay their fees. But to know the ages of the students that are going to move in and who's going to move in, that's hard. And then the other thing that happens in Brentwood, because it's such a new community, as people age out, as their kids age out of the system and maybe they retire, do they stay in Brentwood and take that house, or do they move out and a new family comes in with younger kids? And that's the piece that's harder to track too. So when we see our growth, it's all over the place. It's not just in the new areas, but it's throughout pockets in all the neighborhoods in Brentwood.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I mean, that was, for those of you who don't know, Diane's actual report was like 145 pages. So feel blessed that it was 20 slides or whatever it was. So
yeah, I really appreciate the discussion, and especially Vic, I think you made great points. And because how do you plan reduction? How do you plan to put money back in that you're borrowing out when you have no plan? But we're incumbent upon the government or legislator to give us more money. We're caught. And so thank you for the clear report. Again, I agree with everyone. Thank you.
And the one final thing that I would say, sorry, Steve, just 1 sec, is is sometimes the question of why you need a reserve, right, is and this year is a great example of that, right, as we're going into a budget cycle where we really won't know until much later what the federal budget's going to look like. And even though that's a small percentage of where we are, we're so precariously close to our minimum. If that federal budget goes $1 million one way or the other and we don't have the reserve to absorb it, we'll be in big trouble, right? And we won't be the only ones. There'll be lots of districts, and the state's in a position right now where they're projecting an $18 billion deficit, right? So while the state might want to cover that, they won't be able to. They don't have the finances to cover it.
I did have one other thing, just question, pie in the sky kind of thing, but like Scott had mentioned, we were all at a conference last week, and one of the panels we saw were several of the candidates for governor for next year. And because they were speaking at a school-related event, many of them stumped on the platform that they would end ADA and fund school districts at their full enrollment level instead. And just for everybody at home or whoever might be paying attention, how would that affect our budget? Because if I'm doing the math at 14,000 per kid and 10,000 kids, that's $7 million difference.
It sounds really promising, like what you hear lots of times at campaign events. I think one of the challenges would be is there's no projection in the state to give more money for that. So what they would likely do is what they did to LCFF, which is how we ended up in this place in the first place, which is they take the amount of money that they have now and they'd say, okay, so now we're going to pay you regardless of what percentage of attendance. And so our attendance, even though it's low for us, is probably a little bit above the state average. So we'd probably get less, is what I would tell you in practicality, even though it's something that we would argue for and say we deserve to get paid, right? Because the reality of what Diane said is we have to have classrooms for every one of our students. We can't plan to have 5% of our kids absent every day and rotate them through. We have to hire teachers and aides and secretaries and so forth. It doesn't reduce us at all. So if we got funded based on 100%, it'd be over $5 million more a year. right? But it's a way for the state to say we're funding you this much and it's this much less.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. I could have the wrong proposition, but Proposition 98, can you explain what the intention was and what it actually has turned out to be the last several years?
Sure. So Proposition 98 is in some ways it protects education. So a very simplified way about it is that it was passed so that 40% of the education of the budget from the state goes towards K-14 education, or now TK-14 education. And what it does is it sets a floor for education funding. And so what you're describing is probably the biggest problem that we've had, is that over time, what's that, instead of becoming a floor, it's become a ceiling. So it allows a member of the legislature, it allows the governor to say that we fully funded education by meeting the absolute minimum amount. And then you take on top of that what's happened over the last few years, which is they've done manipulations and tricks to borrow from that amount. And so they're not even funding at the minimum floor. They're saying, well, we know we owe you $3 billion more, but we don't have it, so we'll give it to you when we have it down the way. And so over time, there have been times where it's saved us from deeper cuts, where there's been bigger cuts to other parts of state programs that aren't protected by Proposition 98. But mostly what it's caused is for us to have a maximum level funding that doesn't meet our minimum needs, right, going forward, because it's become a ceiling and not a floor, is how I would describe it. Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it.
This is an action item, so I would need a motion for approval.
I'll move that we approve item 10.3, the first interim report.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, item 10.3, the approval of the first interim report. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0.
Oh, I just want to take a moment to introduce our new Director of Fiscal Services, Janelle Largent. She's sitting right over here. She started October 13th. She was very involved in first interim, so she already knows all about our budget. So we really want to welcome you to our team.
She's doing a fantastic job so far. We're thrilled to get her. So thank you, Janelle. We're glad you're part of our team.
Welcome. Item 10.4 is the elementary intervention program. Update.
I wondered if she wanted to do one last one before she left.
For Washington State.
Yeah.
Yes. Where are you going? Good evening. I'm Lindsay Waite, the Coordinator of Educational Programs, and tonight I'm proud to share about our district intervention program. Throughout the slides, I'll walk you through our purpose, how students are identified and supported, the professional learning that sustains the work, and the impact this program is having on student growth across our elementary schools. The purpose of the intervention program is simple but powerful: to create a system that is fluid, flexible, and sensitive to the needs of each child in school. Our intervention model is designed to accelerate student learning, adjust in real time, and provide targeted instruction so students can develop the essential skills needed to reach their maximum learning potential. This work is grounded in the belief that early intentional support can change academic trajectories, and that timely intervention is a critical part of an equitable system. Currently, the intervention program is supported by 25 dedicated staff members across 9 elementary schools. Each site is staffed with an intervention teacher and instructional aides, with staffing based on school site funding. These educators work closely with classroom teachers, administrators, and families to ensure intervention is aligned to core literacy and instruction. Our intervention instruction is grounded in evidence-based literacy practices and directly aligned to the science of reading. Instruction focuses on systemic skill development, ensuring students receive explicit instruction in areas such as phonemic awareness, phonics, and comprehension, skills that are critical for long-term reading success. I was going to test your phonemic awareness skills tonight with a demo lesson, but luckily I decided against it. So fuck you. By maintaining consistency in curriculum and approach across sites, we ensure students receive high-quality instruction regardless of the school they attend. In Q1 this school year, intervention served 635 students in grades 1st through 5th, with kindergarten students added in the second quarter. Students are identified through FastBridge, our universal screener, which measures risk for reading difficulty. This allows us to use data to identify students who need additional support. Once identified, students are placed into fluid intervention groups with ongoing progress monitoring. This allows teachers to ensure instruction is responsive to student needs. Sustaining strong intervention requires strong professional learning. We partner with CCOE and CCLA, working closely with Karen Eaton to support curriculum implementation, data analysis, and instructional calibration. Professional learning includes quarterly meetings focused on collaboration, reviewing implementation data, and strengthening the feedback loop between instruction and outcomes. In addition, we conduct classroom visits that include observations, coaching conversations, and instructional feedback. These visits are focused on refining practice and improving student outcomes. To measure impact, we use effect size, a standardized way to understand the magnitude of student growth. The larger the effect size, the more meaningful impact. An effect size of 0.4 represents approximately 1 year of academic growth. Hooray! The intervention program has generated an overall effect size of 0.74, which indicates close to 2 years worth of growth for our intervention students. This data confirms that the loving staff, structures, instructional practices, and professional learning embedded in the program are contributing to meaningful gains for struggling readers.
Yeah, we need to do that again, right? There we
Yeah.
go.
I should have brought confetti.
Mine doesn't do that.
Oh, you can watch on the screen there.
This success is truly a team effort. I'd like to recognize our intervention staff who show up every day, committed to their students and to continuous improvement. Their expertise, collaboration, and dedication are the reason this program is so effective.
I want to talk a little bit about the future of the program, but first I really want to acknowledge the work that Lindsay has done. I don't want to gloss over it because it really has been exceptional. The program development, the ongoing training, the team meetings, the individual support hours with teachers, supporting them through the data with instructional approaches. She's really been outstanding and gone well and above and beyond to grow this program. And we're sad to see her go for two reasons. We're sad to see her go because of what she brings, but also, Vic, you mentioned that there's so many good things going on, and this is a position that due to budget, we've decided not to fill going forward. And I want to be honest with the board and say that my team is capable with the space they have to pick up about 10 to 20% of the work that Lindsay's done. So I can't guarantee those results going forward, unfortunately, and those results have really closed the achievement gap for kids who are struggling. So what that 0.74 means is that those students that are in the program are growing well more than a year's growth in a year's time, and therefore getting closer and closer every day to being on grade level. So I just want to say that out loud to the board and the challenge it will bring. And I understand the budget at the same time. And really, in the end, just thank Lindsay for her exceptional work in building this program for us.
That answers my question of how we plan for reductions, right? Yeah.
It's part of it.
But this goes right to the heart of what we're all about. If we say we're about closing the gap, this is the kind of work that closes the gap. So thank you so much to all of you, whole staff.
Thanks, Lindsay.
I want to thank you too for everything you've done. And I'd also like to thank you for a very concise and very educational presentation. And I know you didn't learn that from your boss, so that's very good.
We'll see. I'm up next. Don't challenge me.
Thank you. That was an information item. So the next item is the mid-year LCAP update, item 10.5. Michael, you're on again.
Okay, let me get this casted. Oops. Let me reopen that again and just make sure. That might be it. Let's see if that does it. Although that was me, so it should have. Okay, we'll know right now.
I didn't mean to put the pressure on you.
It's all your fault. All right. I'm here for our mid-year LCAP and dashboard data presentation. And this is now a yearly requirement for the board to review mid-year outcome data and mid-year expenditure data related to the LCAP and approve this presentation. Quick reminder that Brentwood was identified for differentiated assistance last school year for a homeless student group in the areas that are indicated up there. Once identified, you are in differentiated assistance for 2 years, even though data comes out yearly. And our data that just came out in November indicated that we are no longer in differentiated assistance for these groups. So that's good news. We will continue to look at improving outcomes for the remainder of this year, and then we will be fully exited from that program. I want to thank my friend, Ms. Job, over there for working with me on this. The first part of this presentation is to look at our metrics. So these are goals we set within the LCAP, and I'm going to talk about them in terms of 4 different buckets. Do we have data that's available? Are we on target? Are we making target progress? Or have we met that target? This first one is a lot of data, but it includes how we're doing in math and language arts, both for all students and our student groups, and indicates that we are on progress toward meeting our desired outcomes, although at a slow pace, I would say, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. We do not quite yet have fast data, so that's to be coming. And then this is a little chart that sort of gives you a visual of where we're doing with our math and ELA data. You can see that there was that low year at the end of distance learning in 2022, where we came out showing a big dip, which was very typical across the state. And then we've been making some growth, although incremental over the last few years. Also to be noted here is that our ELA scores are considerably better than our math scores. The metrics included here are some of our behavioral data, our special ed rate, our absenteeism and attendance, and then our school climate as measured by the California Healthy Kids Survey. You can see real quickly as an overview that in 3 of the 5 areas we're making target progress. In two areas, one area we've met our target, and one we're still working on that. So we're currently not on target, and that's our special education rate. This last set of metrics is around suspension, English learners, staff diversity, and the overall shows making progress in three areas, and not making progress in our discrepancy in staff diversity with our students. The next set of data is going to look at, or next set of slides is going to look at our LCAP expenditures, where we're at in terms of starting that work, in progress, or completing that work. And one thing I want to note before we jump into these slides is you will notice that a wide range. You'll notice in some cases we've spent roughly half the year's funds for that action. In other cases, we really haven't started spending anything in that action. And in some cases, we've kind of spent what we were going to spend in that action. That just has to do with the scope of the year and the priorities as they flow through the course of the year. So you can see all of these are in progress, some of them without expenditures assigned to them, but we're still doing work on, for example, site admin, professional learning. A lot of professional development here and some curriculum support. These actions are around making sure our assessment system is robust and meets the needs of giving us information that we can use, supporting our kindergarten program, and then some of my staff and some of our work around grading policies. And again, continue that work in progress. This next set of expenditures is around some of our specific outcomes for specific groups of students, some release time for committee work and professional learning, and some of our stipends for our staff who help support our program development and improving instructional practices. The next set is some of our site work, some of our there is 1.18 is actually Lindsay's salary, and then our IXL and our SST process development work. So just a note, you'll see things like IXL says completed because we've made that payment, and those funds have been expended even though we still are using the program. We then have a range of things around science cap support for students that need, finishing some of our work around our EL master plan and other English learner programs as indicated there. Our community celebrations and some positions and support for some certain student groups and professional learning. One of the challenges in that, I would acknowledge in that PD area is just my staff and the time they have to do that work. And so that's why some of those expenditures are low there. This next group includes some things like some additional sections of learning and teaching that we give to middle schools, and some of our intervention teachers are indicated there as well. Then we get into some of our absenteeism and attendance expenditures, including busing to support students to get to school, and our culture and climate work. And then we have continuation of some of our culture and climate work, including our counselors and restorative justice, professional development, and other kinds of behavioral supports. I don't know if you noticed, but the actions skip around. So you can see how 3.3 then becomes 3.5. And that's due to the fact that in our LCAP, we must include all of our previous actions, even though we're currently not focused on them. So we can't renumber is basically what they expect. And then the last set of expenditures is a continuation of culture and some of our building belonging work. And I think there's one more, our belonging TSA. So in general, as sort of a general response to this, I would say there's a lot of areas where we're making growth. The growth in many cases is not as great as I'd like it to be. Our test scores, I'd like to see that slope trend up a little bit higher rather than the slow progress we're making. But we continue our work in all those areas. Questions?
I like the way you organize this. Mike.
Yeah.
Me too.
It's a lot of information, and I acknowledge that, but it is part of what's required to do okay moving through it.
I'll rescind what I said. Very good. It was awesome. Very short, sweet, good, very educational. So you're back on my A list, so you're good.
I do have just one question, probably for both of you two. If you don't spend all of this stuff that's in the budget, where does that go?
So anything that is supplemental and part of the LCAP in ours is required to go back into that fund to be spent as supplemental money. And so that changed, was it 2 years ago, Diane? Yeah, 2 years ago. It used to be that some of that money could be repurposed in a general fund, but now it has to go back into the supplement. It's like a restricted for
So
LCAP expenditures.
It has its own fund?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was an information item. Is there, go ahead, please come up.
He's got veto powers.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Usually I'm very quiet on here. All right, well, Justine and I are here to share our board priority goal, the final one for the first round of this year. We're talking about promoting culture that supports learning, so our yellow goal there. And what we're going to start with is our action steps that we are working on. So we're going to have a slide for each one of these, but just kind of want to give you a little bit of a preview because it's exciting. And Scott, don't worry, we'll keep it short and sweet. But so we're talking about our counselors that are supporting. We're so lucky to have our counselors still at each site, and our social emotional programs that are consistent for our students. We're continuing to provide professional learning to decrease disruptive behaviors and improve student engagement, embed our tiered level of support in our classrooms, expand our restorative practices, really work on that training and coaching this year, and expand opportunities for students to feel included and also opportunities for parents to feel included. So our counselors, here's some just cute pictures of Miss Regalato at IME and Miss Barbosa at MCB. Just really appreciate all of our amazing counselors. We saw that one of Miss Daniels over at Edna Hill as well in her wellness room. But that we are using Second Step as our program for all of our students across our entire district. And that's really important that all of our students are receiving the same lessons every week in our classrooms. And our counselors are also going into classrooms and providing lessons consistently. So whatever the need is, if they need to talk about bullying, if they need to talk about problem solving, they are there for our kids. They do groups, they do one-on-one support. They're working on communication. We have wellness rooms. They're doing mindful lessons. You can see Patty over there doing some kind of a mindful lesson. She's so adorable. And then you saw, well, you probably didn't see because it was too small with Michael's presentation, but we've already had 84,000 contacts with our counselors just this school year so far. That's a lot of contacts of support that they have given to our students. So we're so lucky that we still have them. And now my friend Justine is on.
So I want to say first, is this working okay? I'm getting better at it. I just want to thank the principals behind me for sending in. We reached out and we were saying, we're putting this together. They sent photos, they sent emails. It was just great. And it really is, when you say we're doing amazing things, we are doing amazing things. And it's kind of really cool when you ask a question and you get 12 answers of like, this is what I'm doing in Harvest Grove too. And I know our special ed department, I appreciate you giving the praise for that. Everybody's working really hard and doing a really great job. We started the year with a 4-day restorative justice training for the remaining sites that needed to be trained. As a product of that, there's ongoing community building circles. And I have a slide later that shows you some of those circles for staff and for kids. We have created the position for TOSA. Well, we had a TOSA, we reassigned it to be a SPED classified support. That has been amazing. As I've shared before, we have over 200 classified staff in the SPED department who support students with special needs. We've been able to provide CPI trainings almost every month since August, and we will continue to do that. So we're building capacity by providing basically monthly PD on NCI CPI. That's crisis prevention and de-escalation strategies. In conference week, the teachers have a short day, so there was this unused pocket of time for classified staff, and so we scheduled that whole week of training and made it optional for teachers if they wanted to come too. We have a ticket system where the PSs can submit a ticket to the TOSA to go see a classroom and provide additional supports. And then we can just email Lisa is her name, and she'll shoot out to a site, help the aides. And in helping the aides, we're really helping the teachers and helping the students. It's just been amazing. And we're also hoping we can retain more staff this way, because they will feel seen and heard and supported. And you do have a flyer. We have next Wednesday, our parasocial. Lisa has put this event on. There's over 50 people have RSVP'd. She has gift baskets up for raffle. It's going to be a huge event, I anticipate. And I have to say the aides themselves have just been so responsive and saying thank you for this support. It's been really good. The TSA for Belonging, I know Danielle Cotton came to you at a board meeting. Unfortunately, I was sick for, but she's been amazing, and the sites have talked about the change that she's making. And then we're continue to work with the county office, Ms. Eaton as well, working on the learning acceleration and engagement. And Mary Casey Black said it's made a significant difference at their site, and included not only increased student engagement, but increase the CASP scores. What's that? That's okay. Oh, okay. I'm trying to make it short. I'll keep going, Scott. You know I can talk a lot. So tiered levels of support for effective classroom management. The picture I put in there on the right is just a graphic of what we mean by tiered levels of support. So tiers 1 and 2. Tier 1 is like universal supports for all students. This is from Positive Environment and Networks and Trainers. But there's basically evidence-based behavior supports that really, really work with kids. They're evidence-based, just like instructional practices. So we're kind of monitoring and promoting the use of those. So one of the things is a reentry meeting after somebody is suspended. That hyperlink is a document from Adams, which explains how they're implementing the Tier 1, this Chico, and a customized personal Chico system program, which I'm going to explain. So Chico is acronym for check in, check out. So there's different iterations, but that's a picture of it right there. But it's very helpful in middle school. I actually did this when I taught middle school, and it's only for a few students who really require it. They can either come to you at the beginning of the day and then have check in at day, check in out at the end of the day, but they could do it per period. So they come to the teacher, check in, hi, I see you, let's do good today. And at the end of the day, you rate them. There's actually the counselor is running this at Adams. And there's a video of how to fill it out and everything. And it's it makes such a difference for kids. They really feel seen and heard and their behavior improves. So we've also increased the number of pre-SST meetings, like care team meetings. We've also updated and revamped the whole SST process. We did that last year, and we're going to continue to do training on Tier 1 and Tier 2 supports for admin. Restorative practices, as I said, we did that 4-day training for the remaining sites at the beginning of the year through the John Muir Health. Also, induction does trainings. Emily Richards and her work does trainings on belonging and restorative practices. The TSA, Danielle Cotton goes out and does site-based trainings. Those pictures are adorable. Those are basically community building circles. So you can see ones for adults, then we have kind of upper, middle, upper elementary, and then littles. So really, really powerful there for lifelong learning. And then there's professional resources available. Opportunities for engaging students. This was so cool to see. There's the Adams Majorettes. There's after-school programs. So many different sites are running after-school programs. There's opportunity. I'm going to go next into the parents, but some of the parents are running the after-school program, so they're engaging kids and parents. Ron Clark House System, that's become really popular. I saw on social media yesterday that Julie Croy posted something from Loma. I know Cray has started the house system. Quarterly rallies, parties with principals, coffee with principals, attendance celebrations, playground programs. I actually had to just generalize what they were because there were so many things. It was like the PUP program, the CUB program, there's so many. They're very cute. And student leadership. And this is for parents. So multicultural family nights, many, many of those. Parent volunteers, like I said, to lead enrichment, playground pals, so parents coming out to support at the playground, parent walks, coffee with admin. We run our special ed all abilities events, which are growing in popularity. We're doing one Friday, that's the Pajama Jam, that you also have the flyer for. So ours are getting really big, and that's been a really significant change for us. We also are doing our first Best Parent meeting, and that's going to be in January at INE, and it's on behavior, supporting behavior at home and collaborating for student success. That's open to gen ed parents too. And we'll continue to do both of those. I think that brings us to the end. Yeah, do you have any questions?
Good job.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. I know. I was really
It's overwhelming.
impressed. Good job. Can I just because I have the stage, Janelle Largent is changing my life. I just want to say, no, I'm learning so much. I think it's a two-way street, Carrie too, but it's really been great to have Janelle and her knowledge base to help me in my department, and me especially and my new secretary, Chantel, dig into the budget. So I had to give you a shout out since I have the mic. Thank you.
That was an information item, so we are moving to approval of Resolution 2025-22. Item 10.7. Go ahead.
This is an annual resolution that's required to be approved by the board every December, and it's an accounting of our developer fee funds, which is our Fund 25 that you see in our reports.
Move that we approve item 10.7, resolution 2025-22.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve item 10.7, the approval resolution. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. The next thing is the election of officers. So thank you all for putting up with me being your president, and it's been an enjoyable year term. And so we will take nominees for this year coming.
I think it's been tradition that our clerk usually is nominated as the next president, so I will nominate Scott Dudek as president for next year.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to have Scott Dudek be the president for 2026. Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Looks like.
I didn't vote for myself, so.
Oh, you can.
No, I did not. 4-0. 4-0. Please.
One abstain.
Half of that before we get to the next one, Emil, thank you so much for everything you did and your guidance and your experience over the last 75 years being on the board. Good for you. As the incoming president, I can assure you that I will not require buildings to be renamed after me. Department names to be changed will not happen either. But for Nicole, I will be signing everything in a very large black magic marker. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great year, Emil.
We used to give a plaque, but budget.
Yeah. We gave that up with our dentist. The election of other officers, so we need a clerk for this coming year.
I would like to recommend Steve Gursky to be the clerk.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded, and we have Steve.
Oh, you want me to do it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, what?
Go ahead. Yes, you're now the president.
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
What's that?
We haven't sworn you in, so I better not jump on that.
All right, go ahead.
Been moved and seconded to have Steve Gursky.
Do I get sworn in?
Next meeting.
Oh,
You get sworn at.
I don't get sworn.
Sworn at.
You'll be sworn at a lot, but not sworn.
All right.
All right, will Steve Gursky be our next clerk? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So approved.
Thank you.
Moving down to
10:10.
10:10, we have appointment of board representatives.
No, 10.9.
I would like,
No, sorry.
I would like to stay on the transportation committee.
I would like to be on the interagency and the construction.
And
I would like to continue on construction.
I'd like to be on the interagency.
Good.
I would like to stay on negotiations.
Nobody wants to jump on there with him. I will stay on negotiations as well.
Transportation is the last item.
Scott already.
You want to do that?
Yeah, I'm in negotiations. I'd like to stay on negotiations in the transportation. Steve's on negotiations and the construction.
And Twee will be our representative.
She doesn't know that yet. She doesn't, that's the next one. isn't it?
So we'll get to that though.
Wait, am I on anything?
Will you be interagency?
So we still have two for interagency that we need.
Okay, I'll be on interagency.
Who's interagency?
No, I thought that I asked about it and
Oh, Vic.
Vic did as
Emo.
well.
Got it.
But,
Oh,
hold on. Also, there's 3 people now on this.
because I had asked first.
Okay, then I won't be on interagency.
It's okay.
Is that okay?
Are you okay doing all of the state and national level stuff that you already?
Yes. So you have would you read that back to us, please?
Sure, so the board will be approving Mr. Dudek for the transportation consortium, Dudek and Gursky for negotiations committee, and Geddes and Gordon for interagency.
I just realized what's missing off here. This is off, in addition to construction, is Gursky and Geddes.
Correct.
I forgot to put strategic action planning on here, which is the representative for, so Twee, you've been on that one. Are you willing to continue to be on that
I'm sorry, what is that?
Yes.
It's the Strategic Action Planning Committee. It's usually, we have 2 board members that participate
okay.
in the planning for the goals for the following
Got
year.
it.
There's a couple meetings and they go on that.
You want to do that with her?
There's room for 2.
I'd like to do that.
Okay, that'd be great. Good. I will add that.
And-
Sorry.
And Vic's on that one too, or?
Yeah.
No?
You're gonna get it.
Yeah, Vic and Twee.
Okay.
It's perfect, guys.
So we have, as read, do we have a motion to pass these
Yeah, I move that
representatives?
What we just said.
what Nicole said, plus what Dana said.
I can read them back if you want, or you want me to read them back? Okay, so this is what I have. I have Transportation, Dudek, Negotiations Committee, Dudek, Gursky, Interagency Committee, excuse me, Thornhill, Geddes, Construction Committee, Gursky, Geddes, Strategic Action Planning Committee, Thornhill, Dow Jensen. Does that sound right to everybody?
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the board representatives as read. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes 5-0. Item 1011 is also an action item, the filing of tax roster of public agencies.
These are just the next things that you pass as part of transitioning on, and then don't leave without signing a whole bunch of stuff that Nicole will chase you down if you don't sign.
Yes, okay, so that's.
Move that we pass item 10.11, the statement of facts for roster of public agencies.
Second, third.
Moved and seconded for item 10.11. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item 10.12 is the authorized signature resolution. I need a motion.
I move the authorized signature resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve item 10.12, authorized signature resolution. Those in favor?
Aye.
Item 10 it's approved. Item 10.13 is approval of Brentwood Board Governance Handbook.
So this is something that is part of the work that we've done that we've brought back every year to formally approve. It's the protocols and structure for the board. It's captured in the binder on the table in front of you. And some of you, Mr. Dudek requested to have one at home and one here, and we're happy to make that for anybody else who would like it.
Move that we approve item 10.13, the Brentwood Board Governance Handbook.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded, item 10.13. Those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Now the last 10.14 is consideration of nominations for CSBA Delegate Assembly. By the way, in our delegate assembly with CSBA, our board representative has done a marvelous job. She's very active, is respected, is loved, and so you deserve, even though you didn't see it happen, to give Hal Jensen a very.
And just to build on that, it was incredible how much work she actually did at the conference, let alone all year long. And as a secondary note, she's also involved in another one that takes up a tremendous amount of her time, and she's just incredible as far as that stuff goes. Organization, keeping us informed. If there's new laws that are coming out, she sends them to us, and so we're updated. It's just incredible that the amount of work and the job she does, and hopefully she'll accept our nomination again. So I'll nominate Twee for that position.
I don't think you have to, because I think she's got a multi-year term now. So
Good.
she's good through 27. Is that right,
We
Twee?
still take the action.
Well, I take back my nomination.
But if somebody else wanted to join her, that's open. If anybody wants.
Let me know for next meeting.
All right,
So is that an action item, or do we not need to take action?
It's only an action item if you want to propose somebody to be nominated at this point, because this isn't the election.
All right.
Part of it, right? This is a proposal for nomination. So it's like Mr. Dudek, if you wanted to put your name forward, or somebody wanted to put your name forward to be a representative, we could do so at that point
So
by
if
taking
that's in
action.
the minutes, we'll know that we didn't have to adjust the agenda.
Yeah, I don't, I would, but no. No.
And Vic, you had mentioned that you would like to do as.
Yeah, I'd like to I'd like to establish a date and put something on the agenda here for the work that's done by the East County Historical Society, especially as it relates to that third grade curriculum. It's like Mary Black's group of 20 something volunteers that go to work and there's an archaeology piece, there's a piece of history, and then they have a live history day out at the nail house out there at the museum, and it's just tremendous. And most of these people who do it are former teachers who volunteer, and most of those people are former Brentwood teachers, so it's really cool. And my next door neighbor, Joe Dar. If you guys know Joe, Joe's the one who does the archaeology, and can you imagine, doing an archaeology lesson to third graders? He does a really good job, and they all do. So I just like to find an opportunity to bring them in here and acknowledge what they do.
That's a great idea. I'll work with President Dudek on that. We'll find a date in the future.
We'll agendize on the next meeting to have that a little more formally presented.
Yeah, we'll work. Yeah, we'll figure out a date that it'll work going
Right.
forward. Yeah, with them.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vic.
Appreciate that.
Our next meeting under the
Hey, well, hold on 1 minute. I just want to say one other thing. I'm sorry. Another thing that I think are the unsung heroes outside of our aides and everything else, the crossing guards just, I think, at least in my area, do a phenomenal job in the cold, rain, everything else. So I talked to Dane about this. If anybody has more so the principals, everybody wants to let us know who you think's doing an outstanding job or something like that. We can give them one of the little certificates just to kind of show our appreciation. And the reason I say that is I've had in my neighborhood, I've had the same crossing guard for 4 to 5 years, maybe even longer than that. And she's phenomenal. She's there every day. The kids know her. She just is just the most pleasant person in the world. And to sit in a soccer chair for 2 hours in the freezing cold is just phenomenal. So, again, I just think, I know they're not our employees, they're contract employees, but everybody likes to get a little kudo or a pat on the back. So.
Yeah, I'll look into doing that, Scott, and figure out a way that we can do that going forward. I'll get back to you about what I think might work. I think that's a nice.
And again, I don't know all of them, or but I'm just speaking on behalf of the Ron Nunn School crossing guard that's at the corner by their church. He's fantastic. So
yeah.
Okay, go ahead there.
Thank
Soon to
you
be
all.
ex-president.
See you on January the 7th under the wonderful guidance of our new president, Scott Dudek.
And I should know this, but what is that one for?
So the January 7th is a work session. It's with cabinet. That's a special meeting. And then our regular scheduled meeting will be on January 14th.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that one starts at 4:30.
We move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
So moved. So good. So done.
Aye.
Very good.